Suzanne Gannon.
Learning how to use these stands. Okay, so as Brendan said, I'm Suzanne Gannon. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you to Malachy for being the founder of this organization. This that I'm going to read is a portion of an essay entitled The Tooth. On a sagging sofa in the dreary faculty lounge of an elementary school in Connecticut's Fairfield County, where as a substitute teacher with 29 years of non-teaching work experience, I am paid $90 a day, just 10 miles from one of America's wealthiest zip codes. I am plowing through last night's salad of arugula, feta, black olives, and grapes with a white plastic fork that is missing a tine. 3 hours earlier, when packing my lunch into a crinkled ShopRite bag, I noticed the fork's flaw, but decided against finding a new one because finding a new one would have risked an encounter with my mother, the owner, with my dad, of the house in which I am squatting. Upon returning from her morning stroll, she would be armed with the jib-jabbing questions she contemplated during her daily sunrise walkabout among multi-million-dollar homes poised to flood at the first sneeze of a hurricane. I'd be trapped. So what school are you off to today? What grade? Do you want that pork loin from last night? Will you be home for dinner, or are you going into the city? How late do you think you'll be? Is that meeting really worth it? It costs you train fare every time you go. Are you getting enough sleep? Is your therapist giving you a plan? Are you taking your medicine? On the sofa in the faculty lounge, the three-pronged fork for which I settled is snagging my lip with every mouthful, stabbing my tongue and raking the insides of my cheeks. But the salad's too tasty to abandon to a lonely decomposition in its supermarket Tupperware. A second tine detaches. I'm down to 2. This seems strange, a surprisingly poor performance by a plastic fork that could easily backstroke its way to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and poke a great white in the eye. Chomp! Oh no, my incisors have snapped shut on the floating defector. It didn't occur to me to dig for the little white demon after it went missing in the sweet and savory jungle on my lap. Now, my top left front tooth, a prominent one in the 28 I have taken for granted my entire adult life without a single filling, is quietly asserting its existence. Though it long ago surrendered its pearly luster to the jaundice of caffeine and red wine, it's still a workhorse. There is no chip, no crack, no wiggle, no pain. Throbbing would be an overstatement, but nevertheless, it tells me it's there. Is it about to say goodbye? Oh, Susie Q, says Janie from Los Angeles. I crushed the shit out of a popcorn kernel years ago, and when I went to the dentist, he said my molar was just angry, that nothing was really wrong. You think? For the next 5 days, I sneak a peek at every opportunity, in the vanity mirror in the bathroom of my second-floor suite, in the rear-view mirror of the car I'm borrowing from my parents, and even when alone in the dark entry of a building on Central Park West, by gazing into my selfie lens. My obsessive examinations yield nothing of note, no discoloration, no visible shift. But in the vicinity of this tooth, the tip of my tongue finds the faintest flavor of blood, like the salty interior of a tin can emptied of its Italian-style albacore. Yet, there is no blood. Could an invisible serum of briny plasma be weeping from a hidden wound I inflicted upon myself? Alas, the cheery veneer that has fronted 2 years of troubles has been betrayed, stabbed in the back in a near-death experience, courtesy of Dixie Brands. One morning on my kitchen pop-in, I casually mentioned the incident to my mother, who is skipping her walk due to rain. My mother is, after all, a person who overcame a lifelong fear of dentists in order to be named Waterpick's Zealot of the Year. Her tooth doctor, about whom she gushes, pilots the Star Trek Enterprise of dentistry, a gleaming deck of open bays with gentle drills and stylish sanitary robes where a patient like my mom can surrender to a practitioner in goggles and gloves who tells Pandora to play his patient's favorite mix. I wonder what she chooses. On this morning, my tooth presents a way to speak about something other than what she wants to speak about, which is the long-term stability of her 51-year-old live-in child and what that live-in child is doing to shore up her life. So I share with methodical gusto the details of my story. The faculty lounge, the wilted arugula, the plastic fork, the runaway tine, the chomp heard around the world, the subsequent rise of toothy consciousness. Yes, this tooth is woke. It works. The Inquisition will wait. My mind continues to fixate. If something terrible has happened, I cannot afford to fix it. I imagine a lonely recluse who not only refuses to come out of the house that isn't hers, but also to open the mouth that is. I'm ashamed of the despicable fact that I, a card-carrying member of the Lucky Enamel Club, founded by my father's ancestors while they harvested potatoes from the dark loam of a border county in Ireland, can't remember the last time I saw a dentist. The arrogance, the entitlement. Poised with pick and clamp at the gateway to my gut, a dentist can size me up better than any psychiatrist or therapist ever did. Jaw propped open and tongue contorted, how would I rationalize not only that I'd used an American Gothic farm tool to shovel a day-old salad into my mouth, but also that I'd snubbed the virtue of flossing in favor of torpor, the precursor to an abject failure to brush, which itself is acknowledged by the psychiatric community as the dead giveaway of chronic depression. You jarred it, that's all, says my little sister. Jarred it. I like that. This is fender bender material, not jaws of life. You can always call Scott, she assures me. Scott is her 6'4", flaxen-haired brother-in-law who has cornered the dental market of Portland, Maine. After 5 days, the sensation, as I've dubbed it, goes away. I am no longer reliving the big chomp on an hourly basis. But a few days later, it returns. The tooth feels too snug in its socket, as though its neighbors, having grown tired of it, are giving it the cold shoulder. Maybe the other day I got too aggressive when I bought that party-sized bag of Doritos and sat in my car in the Walmart parking lot, crunching and munching on a pound of gluten-laden ulcer bombs. Inner city knife fight meets chemical warfare in a celiac's double suicide, played out in secretive slow-mo inside a 2004 VW Passat. Again, I take to the mirrors. Up, down, left, right. I inspect the arches between tooth and gum. Did I hit a nerve? Hasten the recession that is inevitable in middle age? Susanna! Exclaims my friend Cece on the horn from Hawaii. How deep were your pockets the last time you went to the dentist? Do your gums bleed when you floss? Do you remember Dr. Katz, the periodontist I used to see in Marin? Do you want me to hook you up? He's gorgeous, Susanna. I'd fly you out. You know what I always say, recession is the beginning of the end. Make an appointment tomorrow, no matter what it costs, I can float you. I envision her in this moment, her neck encircled in a lei of orchids, shod in the most beautiful, most sensible pair of Manolos she can find, Hollywood veneers flashing as she seduces Honolulans with the cult wine she sells for an income that will one day provide her with gilded bedpans and a randy butler who will do her flossing for her. Girlfriend, says my fellow side hustler Marco, whose catering company, once hot among fashion designers, has fallen apart due to his explosive moods, leaving him to manage parties for $25 an hour. He's counting the days to homelessness, yes, yet fantasizing about how he'll find a cozy Montclair jacket at Goodwill for $50 an hour. It will come in handy, he says, when he begins sleeping in his car. Get yourself some Listerine and some hydrogen peroxide, Marco says. It's the poor man's dentist. Pour them in a bottle cap and gargle till the cows come home. From my bathroom at 1 in the morning, I send him, in my parents' home, I send him a text. Do I mix them together or gargle in tandem? Mix, he writes. I mix, then I gargle, pushing and pulling the frothy, icy liquid through my top front teeth until my gums burn. And the tooth that was stabbed in the back by its owner and bullied by its neighbors, the tooth that is still reeling from PTSD, goes numb and takes a nap till morning. That's it.
Bravo.